Well, good morning. Happy New Year. Everybody have a good Christmas?
Yes.
All right. Do you notice that I trimmed my beard? Come on. I thought Lynn Alt would give me a standing ovation for that. I had a great time away. We got to go to Kansas City, and I found out that there are times where things just take longer than normal. Everything I did, my trip there was like delayed 5 hours. We decided to go out for barbecue at my favorite barbecue place. We got there at 4 something, right? 5? 4. And they said that we couldn't get a seat until like 9 or 10. Okay, so like 5 hours. And so I get on my flight home, and of course, what could go wrong? About 5 hours again delayed. So I came home. I got home last Sunday I guess I stepped in the house about 2:30 or 3. And that's about the time I got to Kansas City. So there's something about a 5-hour delay for me over the holiday. But I loved it. And I got to tell you, really honestly, there wasn't a single cuss word that went through my mind. I didn't get impatient. I had a really good time. I just thought if I've got 5 extra hours, then I got 5 extra hours. So I ate a little extra food. Gained a little extra weight. And so I can blame all of that on God. He made it happen. I love the word about a new book and trusting God. Great word. I was out for lunch with somebody the other day, and we were just talking, and I was kind of talking a little about when the Lord called me into ministry and how he gave me the story of, remember the boat in the storm? And his word to me was that I couldn't get out of the boat. And no matter how bad the storm got, he wasn't going to let me out of the boat. And so I was sharing how I went through a really, really hard time for a number of years. And when I got done, this person said, well, that's not the story. And I said, what? And she said, that's not the story. God calmed the storm. And I said, yeah, he did, but what was his first words after he calmed the storm? Oh, you of little faith. He didn't need to calm the storm, in other words. He didn't plan on calming the storm. He said, the way you're going to learn to trust me is through the storm. And so we grow, we mature through the storm. As I wrote the sermon today, we're talking about vision going forward. And I was reminded of a word that was spoken to us a number of years ago. I've referred to it a number of times. It has been very impactful for me. For those of you that don't think I believe in prophecy, come see me and I'll tell you this one again. Some prophecy is really, really, really right on. This one was really right on, and it was given by a guy named James Ryle. And if any of you want to hear it, I can send it to you. But his whole topic was about maturing and what God does to mature us, to bring us to a place of commissioning. And he talked about a bunch of C words, right? Commitment, consecration, all of these things. But the last one he says was commissioning. And he said, this is something, he said, I've been to this church a number of times and you're not growing a whip. So he says, God is going to put you through a hard time. That's what he said. And some of you will make a choice and you will say, God, get me out of here. And then he said, and then there will be those of you that say, basically, I believe his words were, glorify your name. I think, guys, for those of you that weren't here during that time, just be thankful, okay? You like me, would have wanted to jump ship. I think as I thought about the vision for our church, that came back to me. that there's a purpose for the things that we've gone through. And that's what Patty's word was. There's a purpose for those difficult times, both individually and then corporately as a church. We literally got a prophecy telling us what was going to happen. And for those of you that walked through it, if you look back, I mean, I could read you some of the prophecy and you go, whoa, almost point by point, it happened. It happened. And so for me, when there's a prophecy like that, I tend to really focus on it. See, for me, oftentimes prophecy is not so much this isn't in my notes, I don't know why I'm talking about it. Prophecy is not something that I hold on to in terms of direction. It's usually, for me, it's confirmation. So I get a word and it's confirmed now by the things that start to happen. Now, we could say it was telling us what was going to happen. It was foretelling, which it did. But for me, it became prophetic when it became true. When people give me a prophecy, I say, awesome, good, thank you. And then I put it on a shelf. And I know that God will confirm it if he chooses. And that's how I receive prophecy. And I hope that doesn't offend anybody. It just is. It's not something, if somebody says, Don, you're going to do this, I say, awesome, that's really a cool word. Hopefully, if it is a cool word. And then I kind of put it back here, and I know right where it is. I can draw from it. And then when I start to go, when things like that start to happen, I go, oh, boom, got it. Okay? And so prophecy for me was that kind of thing. And we had a prophecy over our church that has come true. And I think, I hope this hasn't been opened. No. And I think that because so much of it has come true up till now, it's going to continue to come true. The word was about maturing. We tend to want to stop at some point in our life and our walk with God and say, I'm mature enough, or I'm fully mature. Can I just share with you, you're not. You're not. Neither am I. I love it when God just grabs me and shows me something that I've seen a million times, yet it's never really taken root in the way that it does when he shows me. A couple weeks ago, none of this is in my notes. Okay. A couple weeks ago, I was sharing on prayer. It was the second word I had on prayer. And that where Jesus says to ask, seek, and knock. And I've read that a million times. Ask, keep asking. Seek, keep seeking. Knock, keep knocking. Okay, good. That's what you do. That's what prayer is. Cool. But the Lord kind of said, no, Don. He says, you're really good at asking. You ask a lot. But you really need help when it comes to seeking. And then the hardest thing for you to ever do is to knock. You see, the practical things of prayer are when I ask, I now begin to look for what that answer is from God. What does he want to do? And then the knocking is, how is he going to provide for what he said he's going to do? That all kind of mingles together, but for me, it just kind of divided up. And so I've been asking God for you guys. Lord, what do you want to do? And we've been seeking. And the staff and I have gotten together and we talk about this. Because honestly, the church as a whole, I don't know if you've noticed, in the United States, the church as a whole is not looked on really well anymore. It's become almost no longer relevant to the world. They look at us and they go, you know what, I've been there, done that, I've tried that, just didn't work for me. And honestly, I talk to a lot of people, it's like, yeah, I love God, I'm a Christian, all that. I just don't like the church. The church really holds nothing for me. And that breaks my heart because this is where we belong, and yet I understand it at the same time. And so in our vision as a church, I want to become that church that impacts our community the same way the first church impacted its community. I do. I don't want to, you've heard me say I don't want to just be another church. You know how that is? Okay, what I'm saying is I don't want to be, I want to be relevant to the world. And the church has tried to do that by putting on a show, you know, having smoke or fog and lights and, you know, and all of that. I guess it's really good. I guess so. But what I'm hearing now from people is they don't like that anymore. A lot of the young people, I never did, I'm just too old. A lot of the young people are saying, you know what, it's just a show now. And it's not really a good one. I can go to a good show out in the world. They got fire and everything. Okay? So you guys are second rate. See, we weren't called to put on a show. It's interesting. People were attracted to Jesus. They were attracted to him. He was nothing like them. And you've heard me say that for us as a church. I want to be attractive to them. It doesn't mean that we have to be trying to join them in their culture, so to speak. It doesn't mean we have to become like them. It means we need to be attractive. You know, Jesus was attractive to people, but you know what happened when he spoke? His message was not attractive to people. They left. It wasn't his message that attracted them. It was him. And so what I'm hoping that we as a church become are people that are attractive, not religious. I want us to put down as much of our Christian lingo as we can, even the words we think aren't Christian lingo, look at them. Okay? I want us to begin to go out and get to see people for who they are. Because there's so many that are looking for something. And they're not finding it in the church. And so that says more about the church than it does about God. It means that in some way, we're doing something or some things that are not effective for the kingdom. It's just not effective. And so I've been talking with staff and going, okay, guys, we step back, let's take a realistic look. How's it going? Not well. If you look at statistics, there are fewer and fewer and fewer people going to church every year. It's on a steady decline. And yet, wouldn't it be cool to have a church that people love to go to? I don't know if I put this in my notes. There was a quote. I am so not on my notes. Here it is. A little story. A guy had come to know a gentleman named Don. That's not me. It's not a reference to me. Don grew up in a non-practicing Catholic home, watched his father convert to Seventh-day Adventist tradition, but only remembers the types of meat he couldn't eat. Okay, church. His wife hates the idea of God, and Don's already expressed his love for God, but his disdain for the organized church. Since he seemed to be open to talking, I lobbed up this question. If Christianity was about finding a group of people to live life with, who shared openly their search for God and allowed everyone, regardless of behavior, to seek too, and who collectively lived by faith to make the world a little more like heaven, would you be interested? And Don replied, hell yes. Are there any churches like that? church has got to be someplace. The people of God have got to be people of God that attract those who do not know him. I'm going to skip a bit here. My vision, our vision as a church, our vision statement says that we would be a place that is rooted and grounded in love. That's our vision statement. Can I just tell you that you guys do a really good job of that inside here? Every single person without any qualification has said, whenever I came to church there, it was different. I felt love. Every single person that has come to me said that has visited our church. I want us, and I think we're becoming this. I'm so excited for us and so excited that you guys are catching this. I want us to be a safe place for anyone who comes and wants to move toward God. And I'm so proud of you guys because I've watched as my friend Megan comes in here with her Bazooka Joe, her dog. And do you know the word out there in the homeless community is this is their church. We are their church. Now, very few have visited, but they all know about you. They all know about you. And I know that more and more are going to be coming, and I know that you guys are going to love on them because you're changing lives. Big Joe. You remember Big Joe? He's doing really, really well. He'll be visiting soon, I hope. He's working a lot. You guys were instrumental in that. Really. Somebody went and talked to Joe, and Joe came here, and he said, that's not like any church I've ever been to. That's you guys. And so I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited that God is doing something, and you guys are in on it, and you're so good at it. So I want to talk about our vision. And my vision is based on, believe it or not, it's based on Jesus. Okay? I figure if we're going to establish a vision in this church, that it should be established around him. And I want you to listen to a couple of things. I've got a couple of points to make. Why did Jesus come? Why did he come to earth? The primary reason, what was the primary reason he came to earth? You know what he said? I came to seek and save the lost. That's his primary reason. Now, he also said he came to reveal the Father. Okay, but that's what he was doing as he was seeking and saving the lost. He was a missionary to the world to reveal God to the world so that they could find the very thing that they're looking for. It's funny, sometimes when you remember how I talked about Christian lingo? Like the word lost. It's like, oh man, is that like a Christian word now? Because you can't use it. I'm going out to seek and save the lost, and then the lost say, I'm not lost. I have a really good friend here who went through remember the I Found It campaign? I have a really good friend, and he said, I never lost it. And he refuses, because of that campaign, to use certain words in his life. Because the church gets on these little things they do. But Jesus did come to seek and save the lost, and here's how you know. If you have a problem with the word lost, isn't it true that all of you are searching for something? Isn't it? Don't all of us have this longing? Do you ever have a longing in your heart? A longing in your life? That means you're searching. And if you're searching, then are you there? No, you're lost. He came to seek and save the lost in every area of your life. He came to rescue you. His primary mission, seek and save the lost. Second, we'll find in Matthew 4:19. Sorry, I forgot to give you the reference on the last one. The last one, the reference was Luke 19:10. And he said to them, "Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." Jesus not only came to seek and save the lost, he trained his disciples to seek and save the lost. That's what his training was. I will make you what? Fishers of men, people that go out after, okay? So all of our training is about the same thing that Jesus was about, to seek and save the lost. That's our training. It's not just to come to church and keep getting fed and fed and fed and fed and fed. It's about getting trained to seek and save the lost. That's why he called us. Follow me. As we're following, as we're following, he's training us. If you watch everything he did, it was training to go and do it. Everything. He was always training. Church has kind of become this place that we go to because that's what Christians do. And that's what our Christianity has become about in many cases. Let's just go to church, and if you're a charismatic church, then you practice on each other. And you practice on each other. And you practice on each other. We do. Let's get together and practice on each other. Jesus said, I don't train you just so you can keep practicing. At some point, I want you to take your practice and I want you to use what you've learned to seek and save the lost. And when you go, recognize something, that it's not about you. If you make it about you, then it's going to be about your comfort. It's going to be about your desires. It's going to be about all kinds of stuff that may keep you from doing it or may give you wrong motivation to do it. It's all about him. It's about this amazing Jesus who came out of his place in glory, who came down from heaven, who counted himself as a man. He said, I could have stayed up there and been God. I came down here. I gave up everything. It cost me everything for one thing, to seek you and to save you. And so now he says, and I want to train you to do the same. My experience in the church, honest, not just this church, in my life, has never been going. It's always been training, if we could even call it that. It's been, let me learn a little more information for whatever reason. Oh, wasn't that a unique view of that? I never thought of it that way. Guys, we're here because God called us to follow him. And he came to seek, and now he is teaching you, has taught you to do the same. To seek. Save the lost. You see, it's all part, quite honestly, it's all part of discipleship. It's all part of discipleship. The third thing Jesus does, this is what we've set our vision around. He came to seek and save. He trained us to seek and save. And then he commissioned them to seek and save the lost. Matthew 28. Matthew 28, verses 16 through 20. It may come up there, it may not. Now the 11 disciples went to Galilee, to a mountain which Jesus had directed them. And when they saw him, they worshiped him, but some doubted. And Jesus came and said to them, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore go and make disciples of all nations. Therefore go and train disciples everywhere you go, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, teaching them teaching them to observe everything I've commanded you. And behold, I am with you always, even to the end of the earth. Now, teaching them to observe all that I have commanded you. What that means is give what you have now. All that I've given you now, use it. See, he hasn't taught you everything yet. And he didn't teach the disciples everything yet. How do we know that? He said, I'm going to send my Holy Spirit that will teach you. I'm going to send my Holy Spirit when you're in need of what to say, he'll direct you. You see, he says, take what you have now and go and give it to others. You see, as you do that, what happens is you continue to follow him and you continue to learn from him. If you do not go, I'm going to say this really clear, if you do not go, then you'll stop in discipling, being discipled. Not going means I've said no at that point to the process of being discipled. We cease at that point to follow. Follow me. If we don't go, then what we're saying is, I'm far enough, Jesus. I got it. And that's what has happened to the church. I don't want to sound negative, but I do want to say, guys, we have an opportunity. When I was called to be a pastor, I didn't want to. You guys all know that. He made me. But there was a vision he gave me, a dream he gave me where I died. And I've told you the dream, and as I'm going to him, I'm saying, I can't go now. There's more to do. I've got to go back. And he said to me, it's not my decision. In other words, he's saying, you get to decide right now, are you going to follow me where I'm asking you to follow, or are you going to step back? You see, if we step back, we begin to just slowly die. Another example that he gave me, and you all know about, is the example of Queen Mary. And he said to me, in this vision of the Queen Mary, he said, you have a choice. You can stay tied to the dock, or you can go out and do that which you were purposed to do. And I said, I can't stay tied to the dock. We can't stay tied to the dock. Have you ever been out on Newport Harbor? Anybody just kind of toured around, driven around Newport Harbor, looking at the boats and the houses? And yeah, a lot of people have. I was out there. I've been out there a number of times and doing that. Can I just tell you the thing that struck me the most when I was out there? Did you notice all the boats that were moored? Is that how you say it? Moored? In the middle of the harbor that were just trashed? They were trashed. It's like, how can you have that boat? You got seals sitting on it. It's falling apart. It needs paint. It's been there for years, probably an inch of dust on it. I was thinking about that this week. Sometimes churches are like those boats. You see, those boats are going to only be kept in shape when they're being used. When they stop being used, they begin to fall apart. If a church just seeks to be preserved and spared use, it will eventually fall into disrepair. See, we were meant for something. We were built for something. He came, he discipled you for purpose, and now he's saying it's time to go. It's time to leave the dock. We can't just talk about it. Now here's the problem with this now. A lot of you get ideas in your head of what that looks like. And it's like, no, 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 no. I'm not going to go do a campaign, or I'm not going to go out and do this, or I'm not asking you to, nor is he. You see, he's discipled you. He's discipled you specifically for purpose. Every single one of you for purpose. And he's given you personalities. He's given you all that you have, and it's unique. And he needs you to be you. He needs you to be uniquely you in whatever he calls you to do, but you have to go and do that. Sometimes we think about how it's been done and we go, not in. So I'm asking you, look at what you've been uniquely given and go. Here's the problem, and actually Matthew says it just before Jesus gives the commission. He says, and some doubted. Some doubted. I can't do this. If he leaves, I can't do this. I don't know enough. Take what you know and go. Here's what you know. You know what he's done in your life. You know that. You know that you read the sermons on Peter, he never talks theology. I saw him when he died, and then I saw him when he rose from the dead. Quite a sermon. It was his personal story and how Jesus affected his personal story. Have you forgotten it? Has it grown old? So, he came for purpose to seek and save the lost. He called people to be trained to seek and save the lost. He commissioned them to seek and save the lost. That's it. Read it. Read the New Testament, and that's what you will find. And then you go into Acts and you go, oh, the ones that he commissioned to seek and save the lost are now seeking and saving the lost, training others to seek and save the lost, and sending them to seek and save the lost. 3 parts of discipleship. Have you left any of them behind? When you see people, do you see their eternal destination? Do you see what they're looking for? Yeah. And love them. Don't preach just don't go at them and preach all the time. I go to a cigar shop. You guys all know that. Smoke cigars, play a little poker with these guys. Unchristian, I know. No pastor should do that. But I don't live by should. I live by what God has called me to do, and that is those guys, I want them to know Jesus. I do. And every one of them, if you were to walk into that shop and you were to say, oh yeah, I have a pastor that comes in here, you know what they would say? Oh, PD? Pastor Don? Everybody knows Pastor Don. See, I want to be likable. I don't have to compromise to be likable. But I think once they get to know me, there's going to be a point where the message that God has given me gets to be shared with them, and they can receive it or not. But you see, that's what we live for. Now, part of our vision, some practical things. One of the things I want our church to do is to care for each other as family members, and we do a really good job of that, except for one area. So now I'm going to chastise you a bit. You guys are amazing at doing this. Seriously, it's crazy how much you give to benevolence and the stuff that you give. But there's this one thing I have against you. Revelation. We don't take care of our kids. We don't. We don't have strong Sunday school at all. We don't volunteer to work with kids because we want to be in here and be fed. Can I tell you there's a mission? There are people, there are little ones that need to be discipled. They're the next generation coming up, and they need honest people full of integrity who have been through it. They need grandmas and grandpas and moms and dads. They need the church family to help them. and we're not doing a very good job of it. So, my main priority this year for us as a church is children's ministry. Number one, for inside the walls, is children's ministry. So, we've developed a plan. Brandon, who is one of the most amazing young men in the world, and we are blessed to have him beyond, oh, he's sitting here, dang it. I didn't know he was sitting there. I wouldn't have talked that highly of him. Brandon, actually, I asked him to go up to Washington, to my friend's church in Washington, and say, hey, I want you to look at children's ministry. This was last year, months and months ago. And we need to start taking care of our kids. So Brandon went up there and he came back. I said, I want you to see how they do it, and then whatever we can do, I want to do it. So Brandon, it's amazing. I really, honestly, we have staff here that they could be at any church and being paid something. I was going to say much more than they are now, which is very true. They are paid something, but not nearly what they deserve. He put together a program of curriculum that will take the kids through the Bible. Okay, so we have that. So he's put this all together. We're making it really easy for you guys. Okay? Now here's the catch. I've asked you to volunteer, and I haven't gotten too many people raising their hands. So this is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to tap you on the shoulder and say, what week are you going to volunteer? In other words, I'm literally going to tell you, you're going to volunteer because these little ones, they gotta have you in their life. Now, if you think, I don't know enough of the Bible to teach it, you don't have to. There's a little video that'll be shown. You get to push a button. You can do that. I'll teach you. And a little video will come up. There's a coloring page. There may be a few little questions. Can I tell you guys something? I don't think a 5 or 6-year-old is going to ask you anything so difficult that you can't answer. I don't. So I'm lowering the bar. I'm lowering the bar. If you are one of those that goes, oh, but I doubt, don't anymore. I'm going to be tapping you. Here's what we're going to do. There's another thing we're going to do. And I'm looking for the names, so if it's not on there, this is one of those times I will look to see if you've done it. We're going to pass around some sign-up sheets, okay? And in those sign-up sheets, we're going to have to get information from you because we have to run a police report on all of you in order to be in with children. Now, guys, this is not the kind of police report that shows all of your sin. It's just simply saying, do you have anything, how would I word that, Caitlin? What?
Anything in your past that would prohibit you to be in the children.
Yeah, so if that's true, when I tap you, just let me know. I won't run a police report on you. Okay, seriously. I'm very serious. This is priority. Children. So Brandon has put it together. Other priorities in the church. Home group. Boom. I had an itch in my ear and I can't get to it. I want you to, if you're not in a home group, get into one. That's where you can be fully transparent, honest. Develop that kind of an atmosphere where you can get to know and be known by people. And then one of the things I want you to do, I really, really, really want you to do, pray for a new place for us to meet. Because I believe God is calling us to the city of Santa Ana to bring Jesus to this whole city and to transform this city through his name. Guys, it's something burning in me I can't explain. I've never had it in my life like this. There are people all around us that need to know Jesus. They don't know it. It's okay. They need to be loved. They need to be cared for because they're looking. Remember, they're looking for something. So it's really easy. You get to show it to them pretty quick. And how do you do it? By your loving them. You see, we are counterculture, and the only way that the culture outside of the church will come into the church is if you love them in. If they say, they have something that I want. I'm yelling, sorry. I don't mean to yell. I'm just passionate, guys. Okay, last of all, I just want to tell you this, and this is true. We're going to do some really creative things to reach out to our neighbors. I don't know all of what they are yet. But guys, it's going to be something where I'll be tapping you because you guys have gifts that we need and that they need. And even though you don't think you do or you don't want to, here's the deal. You can decide not to follow. Not my choice for you. You can decide up to what point you will follow him. In my dream, I knew that if I didn't say yes, that I would die. I would be the boat that wasn't used, that would decay and fall apart. If you do this, I promise you something. And I'm telling you straight up front, so you know everything up front. It's going to cost you. I'm going to tell you straight up right now, it's going to cost you. Okay? It cost Jesus everything. Here's how Jesus put it. Luke 14:26 through 33. If anyone comes to me and does not hate father, mother, wife, children, brothers, sisters, yes, even their own life, such a person cannot be my disciple. And whoever does not carry their cross and follow me cannot be my disciple. Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? For if you lay the foundation and are not able to finish it, anyone who sees it will ridicule you. Guys, honestly, that's what's happening to the church today. We're being ridiculed because we sat down, we're saying we are something, and they're looking at us going, it's a king with no clothes going by, and he doesn't even know it. Will ridicule you, saying, this person began to build and wasn't able to finish. Or suppose a king is about to go to war against another king. Won't he first sit down, consider whether he is able with 10,000 men to oppose the one coming against him with 20,000? If he is not able, he will send a delegation while others will a long way off, and while the other is still a long way off, and ask for terms of peace. In the same way, those of you who do not give up everything you have cannot be my disciple. It's going to cost us, guys. I'm praying about even opening up my house to some people. It's not comfortable for me. You know I'm an introvert. I like to walk around my house. Yeah, I won't let your imagination go. Let's just say I can't do that if there are other people other than Kelly there. It's going to cost us. So here we go. Our vision. Our vision is to impact Santa Ana for God. And it's going to cost us. But God, if you do it, you're the ship that continues to move. You will not decay. And what will happen is the things you were created for bring joy to you. If you begin to move in it, all of a sudden, what will happen to you is what's happened to me. I can't contain it anymore. I wasn't this guy a few months ago. I just wasn't. And then I got to know David. And I got to see this kid, this young man on the streets doing drugs, how he longed for things and he finally got them. He says, I feel now like I have people that I can love unconditionally, you, and that they love me too. Guys, we can impact people for the kingdom. Or we can stay tied to the dock. So I'm going to just let you know that we've not moved so far away from the dock that you can't swim back. You don't have to do this with us. But I'm going to just say that if you're part of our body, this is who we are. If you want to know what our vision is, this is who we are. This is where we're going. And I want all of you, because I know your giftings. I've seen you. I've watched you. I want you to be part of it because people out there need you. And it doesn't have to be big things. Right now, I have a need. If some woman here would like to help, that sounds bad. I have a back of my pickup truck is loaded with Megan's clothes that need to be washed. Megan's in jail right now. But wouldn't it be nice if she got out of jail and all her clothes were clean and folded and nice? That's missions. Got it. Okay? That's missions. You guys can do this stuff. All right, I've gone way over. I apologize for that. Honestly, the stuff you guys are doing is amazing. Another thing I want to do coming up really soon, the hiking group is going out on Saturdays. What I would like to do is have a group of people that can set up a table where they come back from their hike and there's nice cold water waiting for them to drink. Paul, you're going to do that one? All right, man. You're in. It's just ideas. Let's just think of ideas outside the box of ways that we can love people, where people go, whoa, that's not normal. Not in the way they do with the church now, but in a really positive way. Okay? All right, let's pray. Father, and then, I'm sorry, we don't have time for a song or anything. Thank you guys for putting up with me. This is who we are. And this is what he came for. This is what he called us to. And this is what he commissioned us to do. If I'm the only one left, I'm going to do it. But I have a feeling that most of you are going to join. And I can promise you this year, I really believe this, God is going to use this church in a way he's never used it. Because you went through the hard times. You stayed. You didn't say, get me out of here. And now a harvest comes. And that's what's going, I believe, in 2020, that's what's going to happen for his name's sake. For his name's sake. Father, thank you. Thank you, Lord, that you didn't really raise the bar all that high. That you have given us all that we need for life and godliness in Christ Jesus. That you just give it to us. And then all we have to do is go out and be who we are. God, I thank you that you made me just the way I am. I wanted a different voice, but I didn't get it. Elton got it. But Lord, seriously, I pray that your heart now, that the compassion that you felt in your innermost being, Jesus, that it would come to us now as a group of people. That when we turn and we see the crowds, that same compassion would fill our belly, would drive us to go and love them, would compel us to continue to go. We love you, Father, and we thank you. The year ahead, I know, God, that you're going to use us in ways that you've never used anyone before to bring people to a knowledge of you. We bless you, Lord. Amen.